Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Now you know the open mics never went very well. Okay, it's an honor and privilege to be here tonight with this distinguished group of writers and to be also one poet among prose writers. So this is a little change of pace. I'm going to do a little poetry. And the work that I'm reading from, as Peg mentioned, grows out of my studies at the Vermont College of Fine Arts, where I graduated last summer. And I studied poetry, but in the process of working on poetry, I have to thank my wife, who's here, doing the bar, and my daughter, who's here, working on her laptop, as Dad does his poetry thing. Because she had a little iPod, we visited the Angel Island Immigration Station. It's just about 3 miles from here as the crow flies. Yeah. And please go visit, if you have a chance. It's now a state park. But on the walls of the immigration station, there are hundreds of poems that were carved in the Tabishi tradition of Chinese poetry over 100 years ago. The immigration station was opened between 1910 and 1940, and during that time period, over 160,000 Chinese immigrants, as well as other immigrants from other nationalities, were processed through there. But the poetry of the Chinese immigrants are particularly interesting to me because of my father and my mother both were detainees there for brief amounts of time. But some of the detainees were there for months, and some of them for even years. So I'd like to make the analogy with our current U.S. immigration policy, where also immigrants today are also detained for long periods of time. You don't hear about it all the time, but some things have changed and some things have not. So what we are fortunate to have is this wealth of poems, which I, as a Chinese American, had no idea that I could understand nor translate. So my daughter got me started, and I discovered using Google Translate and this wonderful book called Island that a friend of mine, Jenny Lim, along with him, Mark Lai, translated. You should see that sometime. I hope to have my own version at some point. In terms of impulse, I guess what fascinates me is what does it take for someone to travel 3,000 miles from another continent and be an immigrant to the United States? And so that's a question that I try to answer in my translations, but also in my search for family history. So what I'm going to read is a couple of poems that are inspired by Angel Island that I wrote myself. And then in between that bookend, I will have just a handful of poems that I've translated. The only thing you need to know is that all of the poems, virtually all of the poems, are anonymous. And you can imagine when you're carving poems on the wall of a prison, you don't really want to put your name on there, partially because you want to get out of that place. So they were all anonymous, and many of them are untitled, which is not the tradition of Chinese poetry by any means, but they did not title any of them. The first poem I'd like to read is one of my own, and it was just published recently. Browsing the walls at the Angel Island Immigration Station, I seek the lost tones of the Hongsan dialect and search for Hoisan Hippiwa, the bumpkin knobs of Nam Hoi village, or hoity-toity timbres of Saki City. But on the Google Translate program, unwaveringly read in Mandarin 10, set in Romanized Hanyin Pinyin text, a standard computer reads, it's pulverizing digital. I know it's there. What carved characters cannot say in a peruse of that sun-bitten score of wood. Though plainly held hurt inflection a young man's anger and sorrowful tune, dripping sarcasm or a kind of wisdom set into grain. Yet, more I want to hear my father, a would-be abak, elder village uncle, again demonstrate how he could take on nuance, his mockingbird rend of where another's lived or gone, from the slur and aspirate held inside a tongue. This first translation does have a title. Deep at night, random thoughts. In the still of night, small sounds are like a howling wind. Shadows, the ache of old wounds, to brighten, I recite verse. Mist and fog drip down from a gloomy sky. Insects rub crick-crack under the moon's pale light. My sad, bitter face matches the heavens. This worried man sits alone, leans at the window's sill. Toisan, formerly known as Yi. The west wind drifts through my thin gauze shirt. The west wind drifts through my thin gauze shirt against the mountain, a building with plank wall rooms. I, wishing for my wife and son like a cloud far away. My night is even longer under the bright moon. With wine at the head of the bed, the spirit always drunk. Under my pillow, no flowered dreams or sweet. One piece of quiet lives only in the heart. I lean on others to lessen my bitter cool. Muk uk me, inscribed upon the wood house. A building need not be tall, with windows it will have light. An island need not be far, here Angel Island. Alas, a wood building blocks my journey. 4 walls brushed green, contained by grass tinted green. Inside, a cacophony of village dialects. Night silenced by pale guards. To make luck happen, the square-holed elder brother. There are children to disturb the ears, but no speech to muddle over. Towards the south, I observe the immigration hospital, the West an army camp. This author says, when a prisoner lives there, what happiness can it have? I, young son of the Wong clan from Heungsang. I, young son of the Wong clan from Heungsang, straightened up, tossed my writing brush to quest for America's capital. I bought an oar, came to the place of Gold Mountain. Who knew I would be sent to this island? If my country were strong, it would not be like this. When the ship docks up the gangway directly to shore. Written at dawn, 24th day in the 13th year of the Republic, the idle pen of a lazy boy in the city of iron. I clasped hands in parting with my brothers and classmates because of the mouth waded swiftly across the American ocean. How would I know the Western barbarians bereft of compassion or reason? 100 petty abuses injure the tongue. Countless examinations and still not finished. What's more, must bear my body just to check the lungs. Compatriots, we had journeyed to arrive at this, all because our nation's power too weak to protect. Come that day when China unites, of the barbarian I vow to cut out his heart and intestines. In thinking of the past, disquiet becomes the subject of this poem. Because my family was poor, I left for America. I only expected in coming that I'd land easily. Who knew the barbarians would change their rules and regulations? Ear pricks, blood tests, an examination of my feces. A trace of hookworm triggered the transfer rules. They asked for more than $10 foreign. Trapped in this hospital room, I suffer worry and grief. I don't know when I'll heal and recover. Assuming that I'll be released, I wait for that day. One row found clear of disease, no longer needing help. Avoid insults, humiliation from these two-faced foreigners. Fellow villagers, be careful and aware. I write my insane speech so those who come later will know. And this last poem is one that I wrote, which I'd like to dedicate to my father, who passed 9 years ago, and to a dear friend who passed 2 weeks ago. In white space, after Lao Tzu. To think of that anonymous poet from Saki, Gyeongsang County, Guangdong. I am at a desk within a library, this 24th day of July in the 21st century, writing of a man from my same ancestral district almost 90 years ago. He is a countryman, if you will, who perhaps spoke the same dialect and tones that I did once as a small child, yak fan for eating rice, simply for the evening meal, but unintelligible to the brother from a Toisan village whose hak fan more aspirant, less mid-tongue to roof, and glottal stopped. Yet I am digressing, long steam, my wife would say, as if thoughts must lead to others in an endless concentric of circles, or like two mirrors, mostly square or oblong, set one across from the other, reflecting a shrinking infinitesimal. Though here I won't drill down so small, because this ancestor of whom I imagine rests a chin upon backs of interlaced fingers, positing a nix glyph in a mostly monosyllabic tongue, further pictograph to add words, end upon end and image to image, to leap across that secret middle, the arrive of classical Tong poets, for he thinks betwixt is where presence lies, in white space, or the air of no page, and I think where absence can fill the interval between beings, where two may brace the emptiness.